I was at probably my first state convention, and I ran into a young man in the hall, and it was Virgil Cruz. And I don't know if you even remember that, but I remember you, and so I watched him grow up. So anyway, here's what you need to know about Virgil. He's been a precinct chair as long as he can remember his whole adult life. He serves with me on the Conservative Coalition of Harris County, endorsing and interviewing and endorsing candidates. He has been SD 15 SREC for how many years? 12, 20?
I served 8 years.
8 years, but now he's secretary, and so he can't be term limited. And he's a great person to have in that position. He's president of the Pachyderm Club of Northwest Houston, and I think that's a pretty good list.
All right, so thank you. Let's get the candidates up here while I get some intro stuff here. So while we're getting organized, I want to thank Texas Tea Party Republican Women for the invitation tonight, especially for Norma Jeter. I didn't remember that first encounter, but I do know that I've known Norma probably half my life, so I'm probably aging myself at this point. But and I want to thank Vanita Odom, of course, your president, for the invitation. Sometimes we forget what a sacrifice the candidates endure as they make the primary trail and then into the general election. So just remember their sacrifice, remember the time that they spend trying to serve our community and the fact that they're putting their life on hold during this difficult process. So as you hear them tonight, as you go to other forums and hear other people, I just want you to always to keep that in mind. So please thank the candidates for that sacrifice. We're very appreciative that you've done this. So give them a hand for that. And since we've got about 40 minutes, I want to jump right in. The way I've structured it is that we're going to start the opening statement in the ballot order in Harris County, and then we're going to alternate in an unpredictable way. So when I read the question, I'll tell you the order, and you guys have to remember how we're shaking things up every time. That also makes it difficult on Kathy Turner because the amount of time for each question is going to vary. So I think, Kathy, you did 1-minute warnings in the other forum. I'm going to ask Kathy to do a 30-second warning with yellow, and then and when your time is up to hold up the red.
So you're saying that 30 seconds?
30 seconds remaining will be yellow.
And then it's red, you're dead.
So thank you, Kathy, for doing that.
1 minute to answer?
I'll tell you for each question. So the opening statement is going to be 2 minutes. We're going to go in ballot order, starting with Ms. Cohen.
Hi there, y'all. I grew up in Houston. I went to Bel Air High School, UT, Boston University, the whole thing. I'm happy that all the sheriffs were here today, because the reason they're having such a bad problem is because Houston is the trafficking center. So they're not just getting gangs. They're getting not the Crips and the Bloods. Those are like choir boys compared to what's coming over the border now. So, and people, the fact that they beat up these police in New York, or they're burning down, just doing all this crazy stuff, and nobody's saying a word. Nobody said a word about that. That's insanity. All the drugs that are coming across the border. There's a lot of young people of every single zip code, of every color, everything. They're kind of like disenchanted. They don't know what to do anymore, because they don't have anywhere to go, anywhere to turn to. They don't know to go to school, whatever. They're being indoctrinated. But the worst part is this trafficking, what the police are dealing with now. And if they can't arrest anybody, because if they arrest one of these gangbangers, and that's what they are, they all have a riot. And everybody gets all upset because they feel bad. These are not migrants. These are not migrants. This is so organized, it's unbelievable. We're watching it. I'm going, these guys just beat up the police, and they even let them out. That doesn't blow anybody's mind. Wow. And they weren't kids. They were straight up gangs. Really bad people. They will cut your head off. You see the whole Middle East thing, what's going on. And the reason that's such a big issue is because it's not the people, the real migrants. They are not coming across the border now. That's not who they're catching, because those are little guys. These are big guys coming from overseas, and they're so organized. They're all men, and if they don't give the power back to the police, close this border off. Seriously, close this border off. We are going to lose our country. For sure, we're going to lose Houston. Houston is the worst. Two people on human trafficking. It doesn't make you ill. What's her name? Ann Johnson. She's a human trafficking attorney. She never says a word about it. Just let that sink in.
We're going to go Miss Bryant, Mr. Amori, and Miss Kane.
I'm going to stand this time. Good evening, everyone. I'm Carolyn B. Bryant, and I am running my campaign on protecting women's sports. If you believe boys should not be playing sports with girls, I'm asking for your support to shut this down before it gets way out of hand. I will be the voice in Congress to make sure that our young athletes have safe spaces and fair competition. My campaign also expands to education. I believe we need to protect the children as our first priority. They are our future and a giant step in making our country great again. We've got to push for education reform and stop the anti-American indoctrination of our children. We have got to stop the massive, I get chills when I talk about it, so please forgive me, vaccination program agenda, that is poisoning our children. And we have to stop the mutilation of our children. Fighting the medical industrial complex is not going to be easy. I do believe the Texas Medical Association, comprised of about 55,000 doctors, if I heard correctly, actually challenged Abbott's bill. We've got a lot of work to do, and I'm asking for your support and your vote. Thank you.
I am the sixth of 6 children. My mother had 6 children with my dad, but my father had over 60 children with other wives. Let me say that again. I'm the last of 6 children. My mother had 6 children with my dad, but my dad had over 60 children with other wives. Please don't ask me how many wives my dad had. I'm so grateful to be here today and standing in the midst of patriots like you. I'm a first-generation American by choice and a conservative by conviction. Professionally, I am a CPA. I'm a college educator. I'm also a saxophonist.
Yes.
I started my career in the oil and gas industry after I studied accounting at my first degree level. And then I worked a few years before I migrated to the United States legally. That's very important. And I'm grateful that today I can stand before you and say I'm running for United States Congress. Only in America would a child of a nobody become somebody without knowing anybody. I came to this country with nothing. For a child who grew up selling on the streets of Africa to one day be running for a seat in the United States Congress, I represent what the transformational power of what the American dream can do in the life of an immigrant. Don't tell me this country hates immigrants. I am an example of what illegal immigrants can do in America. My name is Kenneth, and I'm running for Congress in the Texas 7th Congressional District. Thank you, and God bless you.
Hi there, I'm Caroline Kane. I have lived in Houston since 1984. I went to both Bel Air and Westbury High School, so a shout out here to Mike Knox, wherever you are. Westbury Rebels, go. My husband and I have 3 children. They're grown children, 1 Aggie and 2 Longhorns. I have 3 cats, and I'm a chicken mom, so hit me up if you guys need some eggs. I am one of those people who in 2020 came to a stark realization that our country was slipping away, and it was slipping away very quickly. I watched our businesses be shut down, being called non-essential. I watched our places of worship being shut down, also being called non-essential. For me, that was the wake-up call. I know that many others, the wake-up was with the stolen election. But that was my year where I stopped and I really started to dig and say, where is my Constitution that protects my rights, your rights to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness? So that was what led me on this trail. I began to donate, pay a whole lot more attention to politics, probably, at least 2 hours a day, which I still do, an hour in the morning, an hour in the evening, watching our government like a hawk, because we weren't, right? I sat there and watched Fox News in the morning, and I thought I knew everything that was going on. I'm well informed. What a joke. So I blame myself. We're all a bit to blame for the situation that we're in, and it has gotten really, really bad very quickly. This is a neo-Marxist agenda. We know it. We recognize it. This is actually a color revolution, if you look that up. And it is perfectly designed and has been happening under our noses. So when I was given the opportunity to run for Congress, I said, well, these donations aren't working, and, me working for the elections hasn't turned the country around, and so let's do this. So God bless you. I'm Caroline Kane. Talk to you guys soon. Thanks.
Thank you, candidates. As many of you know, the 7th Congressional District was one of the first in Texas that was held by a Republican. From 1967 until 2019, there were 3 very important and consequential men who represented the 7th: George H.W. Bush, who some of you may have heard of, Bill Archer, and John Culberson. The new 7th Congressional District was altered quite a bit in redistricting in the last cycle, and unfortunately does not have a natural Republican advantage. For one of you to win the general, several factors have to occur: depressed Democrat turnout, increased Republican turnout, crossover votes from people who usually vote Democrat, or a massive advantage among independents. So my question to you, this will be a 2-minute question, and the order will be Mr. Omori, Ms. Cohen, Ms. Bryant, and then Ms. Kane. The question is, as the nominee, what would you do to win? 2 minutes.
Thank you. So one thing that I have done that I can confidently tell everyone is I have spent a lot of time in the data. By the grace of God, I'm an accountant. I have spent time in the data. That district is not just one of the most culturally diverse districts. It is the most culturally diverse district in Texas. Let me tell you the breakdown. 30% Hispanics, 27.5% Caucasians, 21.5% Asians, and 20.5% Blacks and African Americans. The very, very little percent, about 2-3% Jewish. Right now, we have about 90-something volunteers in our campaign. And I can tell you, out of those 90-something people, about 80-something of them have been historical Democrat voters. The reason why we are attracting people who are traditionally non-Republican voters is because the message that we bring to that district is a message of hope. 57.7, almost 58% of the voters in that district are independent voters. We are going to the stronghold of the Democrats, and we are going to disintermediate, meaning we are going to ensure that most of the calculation they've had in the past, we are going to make sure that doesn't work for them. The last thing the Democrats want in this election is for a candidate like Kenneth Omori to be the Republican nominee, because we're going to their strongholds, and we're going to be taking our message and refuting some of those lies that they have continuously lied to that demographic. And by the grace of God, I believe power doesn't come from the east or the west. It comes from above. God will give us victory in the end.
Growing up in Houston is a very great advantage. My family owns Blum's Furniture on Westheimer in the Galleria. And I've been working there since I was 11 years old. So that in itself, you know a lot of people. And before the internet, we had a lot of Democratic friends, and we still do. It's impossible not to have Democrat friends in Houston. Well, I mean, I do. I have every kind of friend. I just do. And I sell to all these different neighborhoods. That's one thing. I'm going to get through retail. Wholesale, I've been all over the world doing that sort of thing. So I know a lot of people that I understand foreign policy very well. I have 3 grown kids. They all went to Bel Air, UT, all these different things. I know a lot of their friends. Their friends are frustrated. Believe me, a lot of them are doing really well. It is a diverse district, but first of all, Judaism is not a race, it's a religion. And it's diverse, but it's a very well-to-do district, believe it or not. And a lot of people that live here have lived here for a very long time. And they are concerned about us, people that are from here, and our children also getting ahead, because it's kind of weird, the black-white thing and all thing, everybody was getting ahead. And now it's kind of like, well, should I vote for them based on their color or who they're sleeping with or that kind of thing? Ann Johnson and Lizzie Fletcher, together she's a trafficking lawyer. And they don't say anything about the border. Rodney Ellis, the whole group. If anybody wants me to confront Lena Hidalgo and these people, I did experience that in COVID, where they threatened us $1,000 fine and arresting our employees if somebody came in from outside and caught them without a mask. We already let them go for 3 weeks and paid them to stay home to flatten the curve. No, that's not good enough. Now we want it to go on and on. So at that point, I really had to let everybody go and go on unemployment or let them get arrested or risk them getting arrested. That is not Harris County. There is a really underlying darker thing that's coming in through. We have to get a handle on it before we lose it.
Whew, child. When you asked that question, I started sweating a little bit. You might as well have asked me how am I going to beat Mike Tyson? Okay, well, let me gain my composure here. First of all, we need to look at the best candidate who has the most appeal and the best chance of winning over the over 200,000 new voters who I'm told are predominantly independent. So I was thinking about strategy. Yeah, I'm a weirdo. If we can somehow get Pervez Agwan to win, it's a done deal. He's a communist. He's talking about free this and free everything. We're going to have the same situation with the mayoral race. Democrats and everybody are going to vote for a Republican because they're not going to have a choice. So that was my first strategy. But as far as, and I'm sorry, I was talking, you just asked simply, how will we win CD7? I guess that's why I'm still standing here thinking like I'm about to fight Mike Tyson. Defeating Lizzie Fletcher is going to be a tall order. They love that woman in our district, despite her running as a moderate and flipping completely left. She's done some major favors, I'm told, for the Bel Air, Westview, South Park. She's got Nancy Pelosi connections and money. So just to simplify this, we're just going to have to encourage people to get out to vote. And mainly, we've got to get out there and find out what these people care about. If they're over 30, perhaps they own a home, have a family, and pay taxes, so we know how we can talk to them. If they're under 30, they don't own a home, they live with their parents and don't pay taxes, I can tell you that they're clueless. And more than likely, they don't even vote. So once again, we're going to have to just encourage people to care about saving our country, care about saving Texas, and encourage them to vote.
Well, so this is kind of multifaceted. The first thing I want to address is the 2022 primary. And when you pull up that primary voter data, that district is red. There are a couple of little spots that are not red. But I'm going to say 90% of that district is voting Republican. So 90% of that district picked up Republican ballots and voted in the primary in 2022. The problem became that 26 precincts in CD7 ran out of ballots. All right, and 7 of those precincts never got any more ballots. Yep. So that said, I am not going to completely ignore that. If I didn't think this was a winnable race, I wouldn't be standing here. I think pound for pound, I am, suitable and line up with Lizzie Fletcher. I don't play identity politics. And so, I'm not going to talk to you about, I'm the best one because, minorities are going to like me. We don't need any more division in our country. That is my philosophy here. What I want to do is relate to our independents and our Democrats and let them know the Republican standpoint on protecting our children, protecting the content in our educational system so that they're not indoctrinated, they're not getting pornography, they're learning to love their country, love their parents, and love themselves. We are failing our children. And the second point is, with less government spending, which is what you get with a conservative, it puts more money into everybody's pocket. So right now, everybody's going to the grocery store, including myself, and are just horrified looking at that receipt, counting things up before they even get to that grocery store register. So those are the things that are going to unite us. It's already bringing the Democrats to our side that are not the neo-Marxists, right? There are Democrats out there who have been lifelong Democrats and are walking away from the Democrat Party and are going to walk into our messaging.
Thank you. The next question is going to be a 90-second question, and the order we'll go in is Ms. Kane, Ms. Bryant, Ms. Cohen, Mr. Amori. So the question is, Texas grew by 4 million people between the 2010 and 2020 censuses. Harris County grew at a proportional rate, which was about 16%. Texas has so many great things going for it: the people, the culture, the conservative policies that our state government has. These things have drawn immigrants from around the world and refugees, as we like to call them, from left-wing states. Some of them actually vote correctly, too. As a member of Congress, what responsibility would you take on to ensure that our hard-earned taxpayer dollars at the federal level are used wisely to support the growth in the Houston area? 90 seconds each. Again, Ms. Kane, Ms. Bryant, Ms. Cohen, Mr. Amori.
Well, one of the basic premises of my platform is to reduce the size of the federal government by 75 to 90%. And ideally, I want to eliminate income taxes. And that is going to mean that the state is going to have to rise up and take some of that $35 billion surplus and give it back to Texans where it belongs. Right now, we've got a lot of these local governments, these bike lanes, for instance. Those are paid for by federal tax dollars. If the federal government weren't sitting there and handing out money to these municipalities, we wouldn't have these ridiculous empty metro buses. We wouldn't have these bike lanes. We have got to cut the purse strings at a federal level so that we can have our state and local governments rise up. That is about the most basic premise of my campaign here. That's why I'm doing this. We don't get the government back to we the people without cutting these purse strings. These agencies, non-governmental organizations are all weaponized against us. So we've got DHS that's down at our border. Who's cutting the wire at the border? That's DHS. While we have our National Guard at the border securing it with wire, it's DHS that's coming behind them and cutting that wire. So we are fighting the national, federal government at every step. And so that is my idea, is that we've got to cut these purse strings so that we can actually have more money in our pockets and have a government that's for and by the people. Thank you.
Ms. Bryant is next. Yes.
Just the last line of the question, I'm sorry.
How would you use hard-earned taxpayer dollars to support growth in the Houston area wisely?
Oh, wow. How am I going to use hard-earned taxpayer dollars? Well, first thing I want to do is cut the taxes of the hard-earned taxpayer dollars. And I want to focus on energy independence. I probably sound like a broken record, but I believe energy is everything. We need to get back to oil and gas. When I moved here, that's all I knew about Texas being the place for oil and gas. And then all of a sudden, it went to green energy, and I'm calling home. I'm going, you guys are not going to believe this. We're not going to have oil and gas anymore in Texas. So that's going to fix most of the problems, because if I recall, when Trump was in office and we were drilling, and we had the leases available, that it canceled inflation. We didn't even have inflation. I'm sorry, didn't cancel it. We didn't have inflation. We could go to the grocery store. We could buy gas. We could do a lot of things with our hard-earned money if we can fix the problem and keep the money in our pockets.
We have to secure this border. We're spending a fortune on law enforcement and jails and taking care of all these people. We're spending a lot of money. We're keeping them in jail. And all the people that come to the United States, they're dispersing them throughout the United States. That's costing hundreds of billions of dollars just because of the border. They don't all stay in Texas. If we can secure the border, and I wouldn't get rid of the Border Patrol. I'm sorry. Whoever is the president at the time is going to be in charge of the Border Patrol. And when Trump gets in, then the federal guys are going to start arresting these people. It's all about getting them elected. And and a lot of people are upset about this border. A lot. That is how we're going to get them to our side. Our Democrat friends, some of us have Democrat friends too. I talk to them, you got to vote on ours. You got to. I don't care which district you are in. Just go for whoever's in that district. And they're actually listening to it now. They didn't for a long time after the 2016 election. That was when the whole thing fell apart. Was in 2016, Hillary and Trump. That's when the whole divide came. And they have this propaganda machine about I hate Trump, I hate Trump. It's not about Trump. It's about us. Don't you hear them saying he's terrible? We're gonna do all these things to him, and he's still winning. Then stop already. If he was so bad, all of us wouldn't support him, right? We're not dumb. And they try to make it like we are. Oh, if you vote for him, you're bad people. They throw around the word racist like this. It's like, stop. You've got to stop with that word, because we don't care anymore. We have to stop the illegals. The crime wave, it's a lot of money. Which way? Yes, sir.
So 3 of the biggest issues on my campaign is 1, fiscal responsibility, the border, and the defense against the attack on our conservative values. If you're here today, you are in one way, shape, or form a leader in your own right. And I ask you one question. Do you know how many accountants do we have at the national level? When I mean national level, in the legislative arm. We know we have 100 senators. We have 435 House members. Out of 535 members of the National Assembly, we have only 4 accountants. And people wonder why there is so much what I'll call fiscal rascality at that level. We have a problem with spending in America. Not just a problem with balancing the budget. The last time the US budget was balanced was about, how many years ago? 22 years ago. That was the last time. For people who, to quickly educate us what it means to balance the budget, it means that you are spending less than you are getting. If you're spending more than you are getting, then you are running into deficit. America, we have been running in deficit for more than 20 years, and we need more accountants like myself who understand the practicality of balancing the budget.
Thank you, candidates. The next question is going to be a quick one. And the question has to do with the people in this room, grassroots conservatives. We're used to being successful at times in the state government. However, at the federal level, we're used to disappointment over and over and over again. Washington feels remote to us, and sadly, a lot of us feel shut out of the process. If elected, I want you to tell me which current member or members of Congress, actual people in Congress, would be a model for you philosophically, or in other ways, someone to take advice from, and why. So it's going to be a 1-minute question, just who who would you take after? And the order, because I'm confusing like this, we're going to go Miss Bryant, Miss Cohen, Mr. Amori, Miss Kane.
Okay, you guys, let me tell you something about me. I have to process so much information in my head being new to politics and learning a new language that I have to simplify things. So trust me, I'm an excellent student. You give me a minute, I'll have it. So when he's asking these questions, I'm quickly processing to make sure that I say something intelligent so you guys know that I really am here, okay? So first of all, I'm in favor of getting rid of about 80% of the swamp creatures. So we'll start there. Just bye. Go do something else. As far as the few that I would say, I can't model myself behind anybody because I'm a model myself. I do like Marjorie Taylor Greene. It's such a handful, I probably could count them. I like Matt Gaetz. I like, oh gosh, maybe I don't like that many.
Miss Cohen is next.
I don't like any of them either. I think they don't do anything. They just don't do anything at all. If I was going to pick somebody, I guess it'd have to be Elise Stefanik, because she stood up to all these professors and looked them right in that, you're all a bunch of whatever you are. That must have been so liberating, to stand up to a little girl like that, because I'm really tall. And she said all that, and they got fired, one by one. They all resigned, talking about the college professors. I went to UT and I also went to Boston University. Those are two different worlds. Those are totally different worlds. And the UT one, for us, is better. And it's really got to get back to where it's sort of like our values, but the way we were like before COVID, before this whole separation started. I don't know what you meant by the vaccine question. I don't know about that, because I still like the polio and the smallpox. I hope you just meet COVID and that kind of stuff. There's a lot of people that really are being affected by this really propaganda wave, really, and Texas is the brunt of it. This is Texas. Everybody wants to be us, right? Want to go back to that. We're like, oh, you're from Houston. Oh, no. No, that's not how they talk about us. It's really dangerous there, isn't it? Well, no, sort of. But anyway, that's what I want to say. There you go. Thank you.
So thank you for that question. It's very easy to get carried away at the national level when you don't have experience and getting to really fraternize with those who are at that level. And by my work that I have done with the Texas Youth Summit with Christian Collins and his group, I've had the privilege and the opportunity to connect with some of these legislators when they come for Texas Youth Summit. I really like Matt Gaetz. I've connected with him in person and what he stands for. And then Byron Donalds is someone who I also think is a very, very excellent person. And those are people who I think iron sharpens iron. So are there things that are all perfect with them? Well, nobody is perfect, but I think for those two, I think there's a lot to learn from them. Thank you.
So yeah, I'm going to give you two people as well. So my first answer with this when I was caught off guard was Wesley Hunt. I just think he has done this absolutely exceptional job for us. We all had our hopes so high and we held our breath when he got there, right? Because so many times they get to DC and the next time you see him, they look like a swamp creature. And that didn't happen. He's this fantastic guy. He's a family man. He's nose down, which is what I appreciate. My intent when I get to DC is to go directly to my apartment every night, cook me a little dinner. If I want a little cocktail, have a little cocktail, and I'm not going to any parties. I'm not having any dinner with anybody, and I'm not going to be compromised. Long term, Matt Gaetz is it for me, and I wanted to add him in. The reason being is he's not taking any PAC money, and I have so much respect for that. It is one of my goals to get rid of these super PACs. So the federal PACs that are buying our legislature, right? We've got lobbyists and PACs that are actually controlling this country. So I have so much respect for Matt Gaetz.
All right, thank you. The next question is about the primaries themselves. So we know that primaries are messy things. Sometimes there can be unpleasant things that happen in primaries. And unfortunately, I think we have a great group of candidates here, but only one of them can emerge as the nominee. And the unfortunate reality of campaigns is that sometimes third parties make accusations, there are false statements, and I just want to give each of you time to correct or address any claims that might have been made about you that you need voters to know about so that they can get back to what's important, so we can get back to the issues. Let's get these claims that may have been made against any one of you out and address those, and hopefully the voters can put that aside and get to the things that really matter. So this will be up to 2 minutes. If you don't need all of that, you don't have to use it. The order will be Ms. Kane, Ms. Cohen, Mr. Amori, and Ms. Bryant. 2 minutes each.
Well, I'm going to have to guess on some of these things. So a true statement is that I don't live in the district. I am about 7-8 miles north of the district, but it used to be the district until it moved around. I have spent a total of 15 plus years in the district and still do business. So I do apartment management. I have properties from Porter down to Hitchcock, and I have a property that we manage that's at Bissonnette and Highway 6, more or less. So I'm in the district all the time, obviously. The other thing is, I think that somebody said that I'm a California girl, and that is absolutely true, but I did move to Houston in 1984. So I've been here for 40 years, and I do say, y'all, how you doing? Westbury grad. I don't know what else we might have. I have only voted in one Republican primary. That was in 2022. I've given you my story about 2020. I've been a conservative since 1990, have been vocal on my Facebook. Any of you who are friends with me, you can see that I have complained about politics over the years and very right-leaning, but didn't actively participate. So, started throwing a lot of donations out there in 2020, started working elections, just saying, we've got to get this country back. So shame on me that I wasn't participating. I always voted, but I didn't vote in the primary. And so, I'm a whole different person in terms of engagement. And I think we all need to do a better job of getting other people to engage, knowing about groups like this, knowing about the grassroots. The GOP website should be listing every group that we have, and it's not out there. I didn't have any way of knowing what was out there. So that's it. Hopefully that dispels any rumors.
I didn't know there were rumors about me. I didn't know. I don't know what you're talking about, but are there? That makes me feel bad.
If they're not, just use the 2 minutes.
Okay, I'm sorry. That kind of threw me for a loop for a minute. What I wanted to say is this. Maybe they might say I'm not pro-life enough, and I'll tell you why. And you won't know these people. A few years ago, before the whole thing, there was a friend of mine. She was a very devout evangelical Christian. And her daughter was in the hospital. She was pregnant. She was going to have a baby. And I saw them on Facebook. I never commented, but they said something on Facebook. They were praying about it and going through so much agony for days over whether or not it's her and her mother, these two, right? You don't know who they are. I hope you don't. And in the final analysis, what did mom and daughter decide? They let this baby go. And they were agonizing over it, right? So when they talk about, that's how the Democrats win, is over that issue. My beef with Lizzie Fletcher is that she wrote a bill that says that you can take a minor out of the state of Texas without telling their mom or dad for an abortion or for trans. No, that's illegal. You can't do that. And the Democrats have it to where they think it's illegal. We don't like that here in Texas. Other states don't care. If you want to leave and go to another state as an adult, there's no law. I don't know why they say there's no law. You can go anywhere you want. Get your head cut off. You can do anything. You cannot take someone's child out of the state of Texas. And so if they're looking at this, and there's a lot of trafficking here. I can't believe there's only 2 officers. We're going to get more, a lot more, in that one district. That makes me ill. Because right in front of Blum's is the trafficking depot. It's right there. I have to watch them every day drop people off at that bus stop, whether they're going to meet some guy there or they're a kid, and they have to close this border off. It affects us all. I know you, this lady in law enforcement, I can feel it in your voice. It's tough. Two. Thank you very much. It's really important. That's why I am very pro-life, just not, if it's illegal, if they would have told their mom, like my friend of mine, mom in the end is the one that decided. Because usually mom will take the child. And mom was, it's agonizing. That's my position on this, is the grandparents, the parents, it's a whole decision. But most people on the Democrat side will go for the exceptions for saving the life of the mother and for those two things. But the religious people, they are pro-life.
And you didn't even want the 2 minutes.
What?
And you didn't even want the 2 minutes.
Well, I didn't even know there was somebody saying bad things about me. So now I'm going to look for it.
Thank you, Tina. So Mr. Amori and Ms. Bryant.
So before I announced my candidacy on the 5th of July, 2023, a day after July 4th, I initiated a lunch meeting with a very good friend of mine, Caroline Kane. I asked her out for a date. Yes. And she did. She obliged, and we went to Papacitos, right, on Richmond. And the reason why I did that was this. I'm so sorry. So the reason why I did that was. Do I get some bonus time for that? Okay. The scripture tells me, follow peace with all men. I did that strategically, and the purpose of that meeting was to let her know that I don't see her as an enemy, and I still do not see her. Actually, I make a commitment today in front of everybody. If any of these candidates win in the primaries, I will throw my full weight behind that candidate in the general election. And by the grace of God, when we win in the primaries, please make the same commitment to me that we'll work together to defeat the left and their agenda to destroy that City 7. Please make that commitment. Why did I say this? As this primary started, this season started, I began to hear things that actually made me think that they were talking about another Kenneth Amori. It's not me. One of the things that was said from one of the campaigns, I wouldn't want to point the name because I'm not one who wants to shred anybody here, was that I do not live in the district. And I'm like, it's only God that I know that is omnipresent. That they said I live in Oklahoma. Oklahoma? It's like, Oklahoma? How will I be living in Oklahoma and be teaching as a college professor in Houston? How is that even possible? I don't know where that came from. By the grace of God, I'm doing my PhD program at Oklahoma State University in business research. For some reasons, that was picked up that I now live in Oklahoma. God, I have a set of triplets. Who's going to take care of them in Houston if I live in Oklahoma? So please, when we vet candidates, I appeal to every leader here. Also vet the wrong information you hear about them. Thank you so much.
Well, they don't call me the game changer for no reason. We're going to switch this up a little bit. Would you guys like to tell me what rumor is being said about me so I can address it? No? Okay, well, when I was competing, they used to say I was manly, but I am a woman all the way. Come on, man. Nobody heard any rumor? I'm banned on Facebook and on the FBI watch list and part of Ken Paxton's class action lawsuit. I don't know a single liberal or Democrat who's being banned. Now, I am born and raised in California. I was born in Hollywood. I used to be a proud California girl. But I'm a Texan now. I've been here for 22 years. What else? Help me. Help me, you guys, so I can just tell you right now, because I don't know. Some might be the truth. I was born in the parking lot. My mom didn't have any labor pains. Come on, help me out here. She said the real labor pains was later because they called me termite when I was a little girl. Nobody heard any rumor. Come on now. I believe in backing the blue. I have too many friends in law enforcement, and I apologize if I didn't say anything in my platform, but like I said, I try to stay focused. We've got 5-alarm fires going on everywhere, and as I said earlier today, if you think as a rookie going into Congress that I'm going to click my products and snap my fingers and all of these problems are going to go away, because I'm going to say, hey, fix that. It doesn't work that way. So we just have to take it one, poco a poco. That's how I feel. Thank you.
So actually, is this mic working? So I thought of a question real quick. This will be a raise your hand sort of question. Actually, it's a two-parter. So of the 4 of you on stage, which one of you will be the nominee? Part 2, if for whatever reason you are not the nominee, will you commit today to support the nominee? Thank you. So we've got that on the record. And that's what we've got to do to win, because I would love for all 4 of these people to represent us, but only one of them can. So the reality is we need to band together as conservatives to take back this country, and it begins in districts like CD7. And we're now going to move to closing. So you run into a voter, they've got 1 minute. Why should they vote for you? Close the deal. And we're going to go in the following order: Mr. Amori, followed by Ms. Bryant, followed by Ms. Kane and Ms. Cohen.
If they got 1 minute, do you want them to get something, or like the last 15 seconds or so, or nothing?
As you wish. 30-second warning.
30-second warning, halfway through.
I stand before you today not only as a fellow American, but as that young immigrant whose aspirations strike the same chord as the American dream. Today, I'm reminded of that journey that has brought me here, a journey of hope, journey of determination, an unwavering belief in the promise of America. I love this country. This country has not just given me some of the things that I have today, but almost everything that I have today. For a child who grew up selling on the streets of Nigeria to one day be running for a seat in the United States Congress, I want to be your voice in Congress. I want to stand for righteousness, because the scripture tells me if my people who are called by my name would humble themselves and pray and seek his face and turn from their evil ways, and then God will hear them and forgive them and heal their land. I want to be a voice of righteousness in government. Thank you so much, and God bless you all.
Ms. Bryant.
Okay, listen, I mean business, okay? I've already started the process. I'm not even waiting to be elected. I am the author of the Save Our Girls initiative. I will be writing my bill to submit in December. So I'm asking for your vote because I am the voice of our girls. And I'm sure that all of you have friends, daughters, cousins, nieces, grandchildren who are dependent on you, and they're dependent on me to protect them from this sinister agenda. If you don't know, men right now can throw on a wig and a dress and enter our bathrooms, enter our locker rooms, sit there. It used to be called exposing yourself, but they just sit there and nothing is done. The UIL, the NC2A is not protecting us. We have to have something that enforces the law, and that's what my bill is going to be about. Thank you for your support, and I'm counting on your vote.
Thank you, Ms. Kane.
Well, in order to win a war, you've got to understand who the enemy is. And this is a globalist agenda. These people have band together. They have planned this for decades and decades and decades. And it's been implemented ever so slowly right under our noses. And until we've recognized that this is the one world government that our Bible has told us about, and that this is a spiritual war, it's going to take all of us together as Christians to rise up and take our government back. This is not something that we can just talk away. We have to have a plan. We have to know who the enemy is, and we have to defund that enemy. That's where it starts. Okay, our own tax dollars are being weaponized against us. We're weaponized. We are weaponized against other nations at this point. We have blood on our hands as Americans, going in and causing all kinds of turmoil in other countries in the name of democracy. That's what they've told us. That's what they have told us for decades. We have got to get a grip on this nation and give it back to the people once and for all.
Thank you, Ms. Cohen.
Did you notice that there was a big protest of the farmers in all the countries in Europe? Why did they do that? They are the descendants of the World War II, right? The greatest nation on earth, because they were. They all went to the military. A lot of them have passed away. So when my parents came here from a war there. My dad is rescued by the Americans, the American Army. That is a big deal. We're not paying attention to law enforcement, military. There is a war brewing over there. And most Americans, a lot of Americans don't get it. These are not migrants. This is really, really organized. Yeah, it's New World Order, but it was the Iran and Germany got together and had one victim. But in the end, there were 80 million people were dead. 80 million, not 6 million, 80 million people. Most of those people are gone now. But if they were here to see, can you see this? And it's right in front of all of our eyes. And just the fact they walked out of school because of a cell phone, just for whatever, this total disrespect. Just think about the protests with those farmers. They just went through a war not 100 years ago. They know what it's like to starve. They know what it's like to have them take over their farms, their business, exactly what they did here. But we're smart. We didn't let it happen yet. That was a trial run. If we don't win this election and be a vote in favor of Texas in this election, we're going to lose our state. We are going to lose it. Because you're right, they have mobilized like crazy. There's still a lot of... That's why I'm not voting for Nikki Haley. She wants to test all the older people. Is she out of her mind? We're smart. It's crazy. What? She did say that. She wants to test everybody over 65 or something. That's insane. I'm sorry, I had to say that for a minute. They're smart.
We truly are blessed. Congressional District 7 has awesome candidates on the Republican side. We're gonna get rid of the incumbent. If they have someone in their primary who's just as bad or worse, we're gonna beat them. One of these people will do it. Please thank them.